You are now watching The Beach.
Hoo boy! We have had a lot of news about the Nintendo Switch 2 recently. The whole discussion around it has been crazy. But there is of course some good news with Donkey Kong Bonanza being revealed, and considering the combination of Donkey Kong Bonanza finally getting a new Donkey Kong game, and Nintendo being Nintendo, I thought to myself, I need to have Uncle Al on the channel again. So ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the one and only, the Kong, the myth, the legend himself, Uncle Al.
Hey, everybody out there, how's it going? How's it hanging? Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong?
Yeah, if you guys don't know, if you're newer to the channel, Uncle Al has been on the channel before. His first collaboration was back in 2021, and we also did one in 2022. Actually, two of them. And it's been a while.
Has it been that long? Oh
yeah,
my god.
It's been a while. Nintendo actually managed to be decent for the last 2 years. And now, things have changed. It's almost like if Nintendo went to a zoo and went to the monkey exhibit and they were throwing poop, and then they got ideas from that to apply to their business decisions.
Yeah, that's a pretty apt way to put it.
But yeah, we'll be playing some Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. Gonna give a final send-off to the rare design before we get the amazing new design for Donkey Kong. We're gonna be discussing Donkey Kong Bonanza. We're also gonna be discussing the Nintendo Switch 2 situation, so there is a lot to talk about on both ends. So without further ado, let's get started with the conversation about Donkey Kong Bonanza. So when it was revealed, you were the first person that I thought about. And this is coming from me, because I've been wanting a new Donkey Kong for the longest time. The one I've been begging for is mostly Mario Kart, but still Donkey Kong has been very high up there. But now, just when it was initially showcased, did you think it was going to be Donkey Kong? Because I watched your reaction and you could kind of tell it was.
Oh yeah, like we, I streamed it with some buddies of mine, and like the whole stream, we were just joking with like every announcement that would pop up, like, "Hey, is this Donkey Kong?" Like, "Oh my God, Donkey Kong is looking kind of weird, looking kind of weird in this game here."
He's looking weird in the welcome tour.
Yeah, yeah. And so, like when it actually popped up on the screen, like part of me just knew instantly. In part, just due to all the rumors that we've heard about this thing potentially being by the Nintendo Odyssey, Mario Odyssey team, and all that kind of stuff, and like graphically, visually, it definitely gave off that vibe. I maybe even second guess myself a little bit. I'm like, oh man, is this it? Is this it? Wait, no, is this Mario? And then like I had my friend shout at me like, no, it's Donkey Kong, it's Donkey Kong. I'm like, okay, all right, yeah, this is it. I just let myself get absorbed into it. So glad that it turned out to be Donkey Kong. Otherwise, I might have been disappointed.
I will say, when it was first showcased, I thought, okay, this is Mario, but I thought the theme was going to be something like time travel. So why is it mostly just lush environments? But then I see the monkeys in the mines, and then once you see the wall where Donkey Kong busts through it, that's when I knew that this is going to be something truly incredible. This is a common discussion surrounding Donkey Kong Bonanza, and I've even seen it from people who have played the game early. But one of the things is, some people are disappointed that this isn't a new 3D Mario game, but I think to myself when I hear that, we had got a 3D Mario game 8 years ago, almost. If you want to count Bowser's Fury, that was a little over 4 years ago. It's been almost 30 years since Donkey Kong 64. I think we'll live if we need to wait a little more for Mario Kart, or for 3D Mario.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you there, and I mean, like, there's, I know it's not necessarily the same because 3D Mario is what people are waiting for, but there's a new Mario game every year,
Oh, for sure.
And Donkey Kong, it's been 11 years now since his last game period, so this was long overdue, and more than likely a 3D Mario game is probably not too far off. I can't say this for certain, but there were rumors that this was like a whole different team formed at Nintendo EPD for this Donkey Kong game. So there might even be a whole separate team working on a 3D Mario game right now, for all we know.
That definitely could be the case. But even if it's not, I mean, eventually we're gonna get a 3D Mario. I thought that all hope was lost for a 2D Mario game when we got New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe instead of something original, but then eventually we did get Mario Wonder, even if it was a little later in the Switch's life. So, for Mario, I mean, like you said, we get plenty of Mario games. So having a Donkey Kong game be the signature 3D platformer of the Switch 2, not only is that a ballsy move, but it's such a good move, and it really brings Donkey Kong into the spotlight, which is great to see. I'm so excited for that. My controller right now is having a little bit of issues, so I might need to switch my controller. It's just with the LED mod that I did. So I might have to fix that, but regardless, overall I gotta say that it was a really good decision to have a Donkey Kong game instead of a 3D Mario game at launch, or near launch.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I was also personally expecting them to show a 3D Mario game at that Direct on last Wednesday. Even up to the day of that Direct, I was thinking, like, there's no way they launched this system without a 3D Mario. It's been so long now. I feel like it's just gonna happen. So, honestly, just having DK was a really fun subversion of expectations for that. And I feel like for a lot of people, DK is still going to kind of fill that gap. It again, like I was saying, it just looks like DK Odyssey, So if you enjoy the 3D Mario games, I can't see how you wouldn't want to play this. It looks like fun.
Yeah, that's one thing about it, but also we got the first super chat of the stream. Also to mention, Midori said EPD 8 got 2 teams, one working on Bananza and the other working on the next 3D Mario game. That would make sense, but thank you for the super chat. We got a goal going on today, so if you want to help with the super chat goal, considering the prices of the Nintendo Switch 2 for the channel, it does help greatly. But yeah, in terms of like it being a sequel to Super Mario Odyssey, it definitely feels like a very similar type of game, mostly because EPD is probably developing it. You could literally see it just based on the whole thing surrounding the trailer. Like the trailer for Donkey Kong, it starts off in a very similar fashion to how the reveal trailer for Super Mario Odyssey started. You have the opening that pans over the lush environments, kind of like how Mario Odyssey did with New Donk City. Then you got the reveal of the protagonists in environments that you wouldn't expect. It showcases more of the game, teases the villains. Very similar reveal. And also, it makes sense because if you guys in the chat don't know, the first game that Nintendo EPD, who develops 3D Mario, developed is none other than Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. So now things have gone full circle. They started with Donkey Kong, made Mario games for almost 20 years, and now are back to Donkey Kong. And I gotta say, that is awesome. That is so awesome.
Yeah, that's a real fun way to I don't know, kick off the new system, just going full circle with this developer. And, a lot of people, I should say a lot of DK fans were not crazy about Jungle Beat because of just, like, how much it sort of stripped from the series identity. It really doesn't have any other recognizable DK elements aside from Donkey Kong himself. So I know there are a few people worried about Bananza just because of that. But, from what we've seen of Bananza so far, it is just brimming with so much love and reverence for pretty much like every era of DK. So,
for sure.
It's really cool. It's just really cool to see it happening.
You definitely can tell that Nintendo EPD does still have what they had when making Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, where they definitely have that element. Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, what was so cool about that game is they made Donkey Kong so expressive, and it was so cool to see. Like, when you're playing the game, you have Donkey Kong when he stares at the giant fruits that you need to destroy at the end of the level. You see him doing the same thing that he does when he sees the Banandium gems. I believe that's what they're called in Donkey Kong Bonanza. It's really cool to see. I really enjoy that they brought that back for Donkey Kong Bonanza. If you guys haven't played Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, it's a really underrated game. I highly recommend it. Whether you choose the one on the GameCube with the bongos, or if you choose the new Play Control version, you can't go wrong. Though if you were to ask me which one I would choose, I would just choose the new Play Control one on the Wii. I found that to be a little more intuitive. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch my controller, because currently the LEDs on this need some adjustments. So I'll be switching to my other Switch Pro controller. We'll be playing more Donkey Kong Country Returns. It's funny how, with the new Donkey Kong game and this one being so close, it's surprising that this was actually released on the reveal of the Switch 2. And that's when we saw Donkey Kong's new design for the first time. Which is so funny to me. Yeah,
they've just been scattering the pieces for us this whole time, They've been leading up to it. And, people called me crazy to be excited for the Returns port, and maybe I was a little bit. Maybe I was getting a little ahead of myself, but I knew at the time, though, that, okay, if they're announcing this for Switch now, and we know that the Switch 2 is right around the corner, that has to mean that they've got to be saving DK for the Switch 2. There's no way they're going to do Returns HD and then also do a brand new DK game on the Switch 1, so... luckily, my coping was correct, because that's what we ended up getting. So
it was all worth it in the end. That's part of the good part about it, because the build-up. I mean, I honestly thought, knowing Nintendo, sometimes build-up is for nothing. I don't know what it was, but there was something that they were doing where it seemed like they were building up to Mario Kart 8 DLC. This was before we actually got the real DLC. But then nothing happened for 5 years. So I thought, okay, sometimes it means nothing. But no, everything from the theme parks to the Switch Online games, you're right completely. And I'm sure you could be more happy.
Yeah, absolutely. There was way too much smoke for there to not be fire. I mean, you don't just go 11 years without giving your franchise a new game and build a multi-million-dollar theme park expansion around it and start including it in all these different forms of merchandise. And DK even had a really big role in the Mario movie. You don't just do all of that if you didn't have something else cooking up on the side. And luckily I wasn't crazy. I was on the mark there. They were cooking.
I don't think I've ever seen this sort of build-up to have a Nintendo series return. They haven't done this before. With Donkey Kong, it was 11 years. And also, I feel like with the publicity that Tropical Freeze unfairly got, because it wasn't a Metroid game and it being a Wii U game, all that stuff, they really wanted to make sure that when they brought back DK, all eyes were on DK. And they're doing a really good job with that. Of course, there is a drama surrounding the Nintendo Switch too, but really that's mostly about Mario Kart, pricing, and just bad PR. I'm not really seeing any of the bad publicity towards Donkey Kong Bonanza, which is fantastic. I'm actually more excited for Donkey Kong Bonanza than I am for Mario Kart World. Not just by a little bit, significantly.
Yeah. Me too, but I'm biased.
I mean...
I am looking forward to Mario Kart, though, as well, I will say, but, I don't know. I also have some concerns about Mario Kart, but hopefully that Direct next week will put those to rest. I'm hoping.
Hey, Melissa, good to see you in the chat. Great to see you as always. We are talking about some Donkey Kong Bonanza and Nintendo Switch 2 drama today, so it's going to be a fun time. But yeah, in terms of Mario Kart, I really just want to give my full thoughts on that when they have that Direct. Because at the moment, I do have the same concerns as everyone else. What if the intermissions are empty? What if it makes the flow of the game less fun? What if the roster is just mostly filler enemies that don't have costumes or can't even hold the steering wheel despite having arms?
Yeah.
There are
Yeah.
some concerns I have with Mario Kart, but I really want to reserve them until, we have the actual direct. And also, I just haven't been inspired to make the first impressions because at the end of the day, I'll be going to the Nintendo Switch 2 experience and playing these games early. So, by actually playing them, I'd have a lot more to say. And I'm hoping by the time I go, they have the stuff that they reveal in the direct in the Mario Kart demo.
Oh yeah, that would be pretty cool.
You
You'll
got a
have
question?
to let me know what you end up thinking about that, because yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
for sure.
I don't want to get like super into my Mario thoughts either, because I also want to wait for the direct and see. But even just like watching some of the Treehouse gameplay, I'm like, man, like some of these courses just look really like narrow and empty, and I'm like, I don't know, like just wide and empty.
I'm honestly okay with the random enemies, but they gotta have animations and stuff like that. Again,
Yeah.
we really need to see more of it. This game has a lot to prove, considering the elephant Mario in the room. But with Donkey Kong, so far everything has just been great, and I will definitely tell you about my experience playing the game at the Switch 2 experience. I have a few friends who went to the Switch 2 experience, and I talked to them about it, and Donkey Kong is the last game that you play. So they have you playing everything. You get to play, I believe, 6 games after Mario Kart. So I'm going to have to choose wisely. And of course it means Metroid Prime 4, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. I kind of want to see what Zelda is like at 4K 60 FPS. That's going to be interesting. But really, I'm mostly there for Mario Kart and Donkey Kong Bonanza. More so Donkey Kong Bonanza at this point. But we've streamed already for, I would say, good 15 minutes, but we haven't talked about the redesign for Donkey Kong. I'm curious to know what your thoughts on the redesign are, considering that that's been a major talking point ever since the first Mario Kart World teaser.
Yeah. I even with that teaser, I mean, my knee-jerk reaction was to be like, this is different. I don't like different. But, it didn't take long for me to warm up to it a little bit. And, honestly, within an hour of seeing that teaser trailer, I'm like, okay, I'm on board with it. Like, I kind of dig it. It's a fun blend of his sort of arcade design with the Rare design. And, he's just so expressive, too. It just looks so fun. And I know a lot of people were hoping he would still retain his Rare design for an inevitable game of his own. But I honestly think Bonanza made me like this design even more. He just looks so good. Just so good.
He looks great. I love the new design. And with Bonanza, it really just sold me on it. And I was already sold on it based on just that Mario Kart teaser. It's so much more appealing. Having Donkey Kong be able to have more facial expressions, that's really good. That's the best part of the design. He just looks, I would say, more cute, but also badass at the same time. It's an interesting combination. I will say, even though I do like the Rare design, it's gotten a little bit outdated. Like, it does have that energy where it's like, wow, this is so 90s. This is like the 90s redesign of the classic Donkey Kong from the arcade games. But with Bonanza, I gotta say that, with this new design, it really just adds more flexibility to what they can do to animate Donkey Kong. And it just looks better. I've always kind of preferred Donkey Kong's classic design.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm always gonna have a soft spot for Rare's design. Like, I love it. That's what I grew up with. But at the same time, it's been 11 years since we gotten a new Donkey Kong game, and that design it's very clearly a product of its time. A product of technical limitations that they faced at the time with the Silicon graphics and all that. So I think it just makes sense. It was just time for DK to probably get an update, and why not do it for his big 3D re-debut, his first 3D game in 25 years or something like that, and then
about a
first
very
new
long
game
time.
in 11. So yeah, I think it just makes sense, and it's so good looking too. Like, I don't know how anybody could be upset at it, but I don't know. Again, it's a thing of like, this is different than what I know, so I therefore I don't like it.
Soshi, thank you for the
I think
super
that's how it is
chat.
for a lot of people.
That is very kind of you. I think Roy Koopa is going to be in Mario Kart World. They just haven't showed every character. But yeah, in terms of the new design for Donkey Kong, it is just so good. And I wonder if any of the other Kongs will have influence from that. Because if you look at Funky Kong, he's pretty much the same design as Donkey Kong, but has the sunglasses and the bandana. So I'm wondering if they would apply that to Funky Kong too. I know they didn't for Cranky Kong. Diddy Kong, I'm even more interested to see what they do.
Yeah, honestly, same. Like, there's new-ish 2D art of Diddy. I don't really know like how recent it is, but it does show like a slight design change to him. Gives him like a kind of like, I don't know, an eyebrow bump.
Oh, the
kind
Sonic
of thing. Wait, the what?
The Sonic thing?
Oh, yeah,
thing?
basically that. Yeah. And so, like, I don't know if he's really going to look too much different if he ends up being in Bananza, but, there's those, like, the minor chimps that, might serve as, like, a little bit of a glimpse into what we could possibly expect for Diddy. No idea for sure, but, fun to speculate.
The Mario Kart Direct is on April 17th at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you're gonna get up for Mr. Mario if you're a night owl. Of course, that's how it always works. Sleep until 2 p.m., but if it's Mario, hey, that's worth getting up for. Early to bed, early to rise, makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise, and you're gonna need to be wealthy for the next Mario Kart.
Yeah, that's for sure. Especially if they decide to charge you an arm and a leg for DLC add-ons, too.
Oh my gosh, it's like, with the DLC, Kit and Krista did say that would be a big no-no if Nintendo decided to do DLC. But who's to say that's not even, or that's past them. They definitely want to do DLC at some point. They could do free DLC, which I feel at this point it would be wise for them if they ever planned on DLC. But in terms of Donkey Kong, at least that's going to be like the standard price of $70, which nobody's excited for $70 games, but it's something I could at least get past, especially considering that 4K development costs more and all that stuff. A $10 increase is fine, but we'll definitely get more into that. But regardless, Donkey Kong Bananza, so far we have an amazing design, the reveal was excellent. How are you feeling about the gameplay loop? Because it is similar to Super Mario Odyssey in terms of exploration and stuff like that. But what about the gameplay loop of breaking everything and just ripping apart the environments? Because that's very unique. It doesn't seem like something that would even be possible on the Switch 1.
Oh yeah, I'm so excited for it. I mean, I keep watching the gameplay from like the treehouse, and it just looks like so much fun. I just can't wait to get in and rip and tear everything apart. And on top of that, it's just my kind of game too. 3D platformers, 2D platformers, collecting a bunch of MacGuffins. Like that's I could live and breathe off of 2D and 3D platformers, and it's shaping up to be everything I could have wanted. I think I'm hoping it is, and the funny thing is too that I really don't think we've even seen everything this game has to offer in terms of its gameplay yet. I'm pretty sure this is this is heavy speculation, but I personally think this is just like the surface level of it. I think after the next trailer, we're going to have a much better idea of sort of like what the true sort of gameplay loop of this game is going to look like and what sorts of other mechanics are in there that they haven't shown us yet.
We kind of saw that with Super Mario Odyssey when that was revealed, where they just showcased, yep, Sandbox 3D Mario is coming back, but we're doing some really cool things with it. And then the second trailer, they had Cappy, and they showcased the capture feature. Nintendo EPD has a really good way of surprising us, and they definitely will do that for Donkey Kong. And I know where people are saying, oh, we don't know who's developing the game. I think it's pretty clear. It's Nintendo EPD. Unless it is Vicarious Visions, like the Donkey Kong Freedom game that never came to fruition.
I think they've been doomed to working on like some racing game series or something, if I remember correctly.
It was that and Call of Duty. Of course. It's
Or
got to
maybe,
be those
yeah,
two.
it might have been that even. I'm not sure. But, yeah.
Now, in terms of like the visual presentation, how are you feeling about it? Because when I thought of the idea of a 3D Donkey Kong game, what I thought of in terms of graphics was like realistic, lush environments, really showcasing more power. Or if this was on the original Switch, Switch can have some really impressive looking games. How do you feel about the more cartoony direction?
I honestly dig it. Whenever I wasn't like super impressed by like anything that we had seen from that Switch Direct on like a visual level at first, at least based off of the trailers. Like even Donkey Kong, I'm like, man, it looked great like visually, but it of course, to me just kind of looked like Odyssey in terms of its visuals. But when you look at when you check it out in the treehouse, then you can really see like the like the true hardware capability on full display. It looks absolutely gorgeous. The lighting, the textures, like even just the amount of detail. You can tell it's like, okay, this would not have been doable on the Switch One, and I can see that now. But yeah, I mean, like in terms of it being cartoony and all that kind of stuff, I mean, that's pretty much expected out of like anything adjacent to the Mario series, I guess, at this point. And I don't know, I think it looks just absolutely phenomenal.
I am all for it. It looks absolutely stunning, and really, when you see the treehouse footage, that's when it's even more clear. Brian, thank you for the donation. We're at 3 super chats out of the super chat goal, so we're getting closer. Bring K. Rool back. I'm honestly mad Nintendo is ignoring DK's most iconic villain. Forgetting about it, like the Tikis and stuff like that. Yeah, I feel like they do have the opportunity to bring back K. Rool. There are some references to the Kremlings and stuff, and considering you now have a series which is essentially coping for Croc, you think that K. Rool is going to be in the game in any capacity?
Oh yeah, in a post King K. Rool in Smash Brothers world, like I don't see any way that Nintendo can ignore this guy any longer. K. Rool was like such a huge inclusion in Smash Brothers. I mean, I'm pretty sure he had one of the most highly viewed trailers of all the newcomers in Smash, and he was one of the most highly requested characters during the Smash ballot days, supposedly, according to Sakurai, which is the whole reason he got into the game to begin with. And I feel like with that kind of fan demand, with that kind of like, passion and appreciation for the character, I don't see how Nintendo could possibly ignore that for this game. And, with all the nods and references and things that we're getting in there to like the Kremlins and K. Rool already, they haven't wanted to touch the Kremlins with a 10-foot pole in the DK series for a long time. So the fact that they're even acknowledging like them at all in this game, to me, is like enough of a dead ringer to be like, okay, yeah, he's gonna be here.
You think he's gonna be the main villain, or you think it's just gonna be something like a cameo? Because they really are showcasing Voidco, and knowing Nintendo EPD and their history with Donkey Kong, they really like to do their own thing, because if you played Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, it was pretty much like a complete reboot of Donkey Kong. It didn't really have any influence from Rare. The villains were Kongs. They were evil Kongs for the most part. And it was really cool to see, I'll give it that. I would say out of the new Donkey Kong villains, those were probably my favorite. Even though I did like the ones in Tropical Freeze, the Snowmads. But obviously K. Rool is like the one everyone wants to see. It's funny.
Yeah, no, definitely.
It's so funny. With Mario, everyone wants a new villain besides Bowser. But with Donkey Kong, we just want the old one back. He hasn't been the main villain of a Donkey Kong game since, I believe, Donkey Kong 64, unless we count spin-offs and such, like King of Swing and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, if we count those, then it's definitely been more recent. But yeah, if we're just going like in terms of mainline and stuff, it's been a long time. Been a long time coming. That is true what you said, that like EPD does tend to seem to like to do their own thing, and they tend to go in like wacky creative directions from what we've seen of them over the years. But I don't know, just the fact that they are conceding and referencing a lot of Donkey Kong Country related things, just from what we've seen in the trailer so far, it really gives me hope. And I kind of have a little bit of a theory that I personally, I do kind of think there is a pretty good shot that K. Rool will end up being the main villain of this game. That's both a cope and a hope. But
it's a coping mechanism.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Like Odyssey, we saw Bowser hiring and using these Broodals characters, and I almost get that kind of vibe from Voidco too. Like they almost kind of have like a Broodals sort of thing going on, in my opinion.
They do kind of remind me of the Broodals. I mean, you got the really short one, you got the really tall one, then you got the I'm not sure if she has a name yet, but there's one of them that kind of reminds me of Harriet from Odyssey, although not really. Just kind of the extent of it being a group. It kind of reminds me of what they did with the Broodals in the trailer. It'd be cool if K. Rool was the actual antagonist, though. You could have the best of both worlds. You could have new villains, but also K. Rool. That'd be really cool to see.
Yeah, definitely. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. I mean, I could totally see K. Rool being behind, whatever kind of scheme is going on. But, that being said, too, even if K. Rool isn't in the game, it's not like a make or break sort of thing for me. If he's not there, I'm gonna play the game and hopefully enjoy it either way. But
I think it's pretty clear we're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, well, you can tell what a game's gonna be for you, and this game, it has you written all over it.
Oh yeah. I swear they honestly, that entire direct, I feel like they geared the very end of it towards me. I'm a big FromSoft and Dark Souls guy, and so we get a brand new FromSoft exclusive IP coming to the Switch, and then Kirby Air Ride. I loved that game as a kid. I played so much Kirby Air Ride, and then Donkey Kong. It was just banger after banger, one after the other there.
It'd be funny. You could use that if any of the Nintendo fanboys go after you. Be like, well, they're listening to me. They made this direct specifically for me. Actually, I could clap back and say that too. Because I've been saying, we need Mario Kart 9. We need a new Donkey Kong game for the longest time. And that direct, it delivered both of them. I was not expecting that. I was expecting there to be 3D Mario, Animal Crossing, and Mario Kart, of course. But no, Nintendo did the bold move of having a 3D Donkey Kong over a 3D Mario game during the launch window. And you know what? I'm all for that. It's a great thing. And it's just surreal. Do you also feel like kind of an era of your life, it's concluded, like you don't feel as young as you used to, finally seeing the long-awaited sequels to Mario Kart 8 and also Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze?
It's, it definitely feels pretty wild. I mean, it is funny that both of those games came out the same year, Mario Kart 8 and Tropical Freeze. Like, they were within months of each other, if I remember correct.
What's even more crazy about it is that it's not just these games, it's also Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream. It broke the curse of the 2014 gap. Because, we got Mario Kart 8, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, and Tomodachi Life all releasing in 2014. They were all games that had a gap of 11 years or so. The same thing actually happened with Super Mario Bros. Wonder, where there was an 11-year gap. Do we just have to wait 11 years and Nintendo will hopefully bring back some series that they haven't brought back? I mean, we got the big three back now. We got Mario Kart, Tomodachi Life, and Donkey Kong. What's the next 2014 game we need back? I'm willing to say Captain Toad. We need Captain Toad Treasure Tracker 2. That's the series that we should start begging for next.
That'd be pretty cool. I honestly don't even remember, all the games that they had in 2014. I do remember, Mario Kart and DK in particular, but...
we got Super Smash Bros. 4 and Bayonetta. I'm trying to think what else.
I guess Smash is up there on my once list a little bit, although, with what they're doing with these updates and stuff for Switch games. I have a feeling that's probably what they're going to do for Smash this generation.
You think that this is going to be the next Wii U port situation, where instead of Wii U ports, they're going to do these Switch 2 edition games to fill in the gap?
Yeah, I mean, I personally hope not, but it is kind of looking that way. That is sort of a little bit of a fear of mine going into this next generation, that like they're gonna really lean on Switch games and doing, big $20 upgrades for these things and charging $80 for them if you don't have them already. It's like, ugh. Blech. But I don't know how well that's going to work the second time around, though, because the difference is that, everybody and their grandma owns the Switch. So, is there really going to be all that much incentive to go buy the same games again, but for $80,
Now, with the Wii U, that was a system that performed well below Nintendo's expectations. And while I will say, yeah, the Wii U was a failure for Nintendo, but 13 million people still had it. 13 million people is still a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely true. But, that was sort of the, I guess, the excuse or the reason that I saw a lot of people using, or justifying for Nintendo to be putting all those Wii U ports on the Switch, that, nobody owned a Wii U, so, giving them an extra chance at life on the Switch, it just makes sense. And, okay, I guess I can kind of see that logic a little bit. But, again, I just don't see it working as well a second time around.
No, because the Switch sold very well. They can't rely on a failed console this time around.
No, definitely not. And, again, I mean, I mentioned it to you before the stream, but $80 for Mario Party, that's the one that I always refer to, because I'm like, dude, that's just crazy. $80 for a party game.
For insane. A party game, it's crazy. Yeah. It's absolutely wild. A YouTuber I watched did a whole rant about Mario Party, the top 100, and he said the 3DS, wow, a great platform for a party game. Yeah, $80 for a party game. Oh, but it's going to be worth it with the microphone and the camera. Look, I mean, Mario Party, that is the definition of a series that I only play in multiplayer. It's only for special occasions.
Right.
For $80, exactly. I'm going to just... Before, you literally could just get some champagne and Mario Party Jamboree. Now it's like, you'll have to enjoy some delicious sugar water while enjoying Mario Party. And this is a whole discussion we're going to get into with the whole Switch 2 thing. But you know what? Donkey Kong is exempt from most of the drama surrounding the Switch 2. So you know what? If you guys are on the fence about getting the Switch 2 and don't like the $80 games, I do have a solution for you. Since most people aren't really complaining about the price of the system, because I feel the price is fair. So $150 more, but if that means it's capable and future-proof, I mean, yeah, I'm okay with that. But when you get into the $80 games, that's when the problem starts. But Donkey Kong's at a more acceptable $70. So instead of playing Mario Kart World, just wait for Donkey Kong, and that's when to get the Switch, too. You're gonna have more fun with Donkey Kong anyway. And it's so funny. Unless you're what?
Oh, was that? Oh, I was going to say, unless you're worried about this thing being scalped to hell and back, because then you might want to try to grab one right away, since the Mario Kart bundles are only going to be until the fall. So
of course, classic Nintendo. Is it going to be a celebration just like it was when we got rid of Super Mario 3D All-Stars, or Nintendo got rid of it? Is it going to be a celebration once that bundle goes away? Doug Bowser's probably going to say something like that. I'd give it a few more days.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, the thing
I don't
is,
know what they're thinking with that.
The thing is, $70 is manageable. Nope, like I say all the time, nobody's happy about it, specifically. But if it's like $10 increase, no big deal. Wii U games were $10 more than Wii games. There wasn't much of an issue with that. But also, the standard at that time was, it's pretty much the same situation. But that extra $20 is going to add up fast. Real fast. Before, it would take like $6, $70 games to equate to getting like an extra game on the Switch, but now it only takes like 3 of them. That's crazy. That's absolute madness.
Yeah. Yeah, I am not looking forward to having to drop $80 on any Nintendo game. I think $70 is even kind of crazy, but again, that would have been a pill that I would have been more likely to be able to swallow if that's all it was. $70, it would have been like I would have begrudgingly accepted that. It's just the way that the industry is going right now. But $80?
Yeah,
That's
this
just crazy.
This whole thing is pretty much like when Pearl gave Mr. Krabs a giant pill. All right, it's time for the pill. Oh, I hate the pill.
I hate them.
Except this pill, Mr. Krabs would actually like. So in terms of Donkey Kong Bonanza, do you have any further thoughts about it? Because I feel like we discussed a good amount of the game. Although I will say, in terms of presentation, with the music specifically, it's so high quality. It reminded me of Super Mario Galaxy to an extent. It was so high quality, and it seemed like something out of a movie. That's one thing that really impressed me that I don't see enough people talking about.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like everything I've heard in terms of the music from this game so far, it just sounds phenomenal. I don't know. I don't really know if I have a whole lot more to add. Like to me, it really looks like it could potentially be one of the maybe even the very best 3D platformers like ever. I don't know if that's just my bias showing, wearing it on my sleeve, but I don't know. It really does just look fantastic. If nothing else, I think it could be a very easy Game of the Year contender. Yeah, I mean, aside from that, I don't know. That's really all I have to say on DK. I can't wait
the
to play
thing
it.
is, the 3D Mario games are some of the greatest games of all time. If you got the same team making Donkey Kong, I don't see any reason why this wouldn't be on that caliber unless you really, really, really will miss Mario or being able to play as Mario. That's just like the only rationale I can think of.
Yeah, no, honestly, and like again, like I don't know how if you are a fan of 3D Mario, I'm not sure how you could look at this new DK and be like, it doesn't look like it's for me. It just feels like I don't know, DK just looks like a more capable Mario in this.
He
Honestly,
does.
He can punch and destroy everything, and just I don't know, looks great.
Yeah, it definitely does look like it's going to be not just a Game of the Year contender, but I could easily see this being my favorite game of all time. Because right now, Super Mario Odyssey has that luxury. But if something's better than that, I mean Donkey Kong, that right there is what I consider the Nintendo Switch 2's killer app. Even more so than Mario Kart. We really got to see more of Mario Kart before I'm like fully sold on it. Which is crazy because I'm kind of known for Mario Kart. But with this game, with Donkey Kong Bonanza, it just looks to be everything about it. There's not a single bad thing I can say about it other than I want to play it right now. And I can't.
Right.
That's
Same
kind of
here.
it.
It really just looks like everything I dreamed of and more for a 3D DK. Looks so good. So good.
I gotta say, considering that we've been coping for Kong for 11 years now, are you satisfied? Because I am.
Oh, yeah. Like, beyond satisfied. I mean, it like I said, I mean, it really does look like everything that I've dreamt of for a 3D DK and just so much more. It's crazy that it's finally here. It does make me question, like, okay, well, so where does the DK series go from here? Like, who would be available to even work on another DK game after this? But I don't want to think about that too much right now. I want to bask in the glory of just having a new DK game finally after all these years.
That is a good question to
not
bring
much
up.
about the future.
You think that this game will be successful enough where Donkey Kong becomes a full-on big IP like it used to be?
Well, I do think that is like part of the intention behind what they're doing right now with this game is to try to like push DK back as like one of their major brand pillars, I suppose. That was sort of what the rumored intentions were behind bringing it, basically bringing DK home back internally with Nintendo EPD. So I think even if like this game, let's say it starts off slower on the sales charts, you know, because X, Y, and Z, I still think they're going to continue to push DK beyond this game. I just have no idea really like who would even work on Donkey Kong after this, because Retro Studios currently has their hands full with Metroid Prime. Sure, they could go back to Donkey Kong after that, but that's going to be like years and years down the line at that point.
If they still exist, Monster Games could make Donkey Kong Country. Like, if they were to make another Donkey Kong Country, they did make those 2D levels for Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D and now HD, so it is a possibility. Or they could do something along the lines of what happened with Cadence of Hyrule, where they got an indie developer, although that was kind of a different thing. There are definitely developers out there for it. Playtonic, that could be another one. Although, considering Yooka-Laylee, the original, and depending what they do with Yooka-Replaylee, just so many variables. But the most important question is, do you think that this could mean the return of spin-offs? Like, could they do things like Donkey Konga or Jungle, or not Jungle Beat, Jungle Climber, stuff like that again?
I do think that it's highly likely, and honestly, like I'm personally theorizing that they might even do a spin-off next after this game. There were rumors a couple years ago, and I don't know how plausible they were. I don't know like if there's any credibility to them, but I remembered hearing rumblings that there might be a new Diddy Kong Racing like in the wings. And hey, maybe that's the reason Diddy Kong hasn't appeared yet in Bananza, because he's going to show up in his own game here before long, you know?
It'd
I don't know,
definitely be the
again.
year of racing games, if that's the case. We already got
Yeah.
Kirby Air Riders, Mario Kart World, and now a Diddy Kong Racing. Although at this
Yeah.
point, I kind of feel like what Diddy Kong Racing has introduced will probably be absorbed in Mario Kart World. Except for Diddy Kong himself, because Diddy Kong is in jail. So is Luigi. That
True.
Luigi you're seeing is actually an imposter. They just
Yeah.
got a clone of him.
True. Yeah, who knows? Maybe they wouldn't even do Diddy Kong Racing. Maybe they would just take a whole new spin. A buddy of mine had pointed out that, you know, Nintendo revived Metroid Dread.
That's what
after,
I was
like,
just gonna
20
say.
years.
I was
You
just
know?
gonna say
Yeah.
that.
So maybe, who knows? Maybe they would do Donkey Kong Racing. You know, bring that back, because that was a canceled game from back in the GameCube era. So. Definitely some heavy speculation there, but I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily entirely out of left field to think that maybe they would do something like that.
No, I don't think so either. Especially if it's successful. I feel like Donkey Kong Bonanza will be a very successful game, but the thing with the Switch too is that
agree.
with these prices, it might take some time. I'm definitely going to discuss this a bit more in a video I have that's upcoming about 5 reasons how the Nintendo Switch 2 could be the next Wii U. I'm not going to get too much into it because a lot of it is saved for this video, but regardless, I think that it's definitely not going to be as easy as it could have been to launch this system. If I were Nintendo, if I played my cards right just by not doing stupid things like they're doing now, this easily could be like the biggest console launch of all time. But,
Oh yeah, yeah,
You know,
undoubtedly.
considering that we've pretty much discussed everything we've wanted to about Donkey Kong Bonanza, is now the time to talk about the whole drama surrounding the Nintendo Switch 2? Because it's been a week since the Nintendo Direct, and every day it seems like we're getting more and more unfortunate news about the Nintendo Switch 2, because if you've been living under a rock, you probably will need to stick with the Switch 1 as Doug Bowser wants you to, because games are now going to be $80. Mario Kart is the main example, but it's also the Nintendo Switch 2 editions of games like Super Mario Party Jamboree, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, and Tears of the Kingdom. So it seems that Donkey Kong's actually the exception, and the standard will be $80 going forward. I can only see this going in one direction, with variable pricing.
Yeah, you know, that's that seems to be the buzzword for them right now, is variable pricing, and you know that has me concerned in a few different ways. I mean, we have $80 Mario Kart now, as well as $80 versions of Switch games, but the term variable pricing could also imply that $80 isn't necessarily where they're going to stop. You know, what's stopping them from charging $90 or even $100 for the next Zelda Breath of the Wild game? You know, like they already took the leap and charged $70 for Tears of the Kingdom on the Switch. I don't know. I'm just saying, you know, it's kind of a scary prospect. Variable pricing. I hate it. I hate that term.
I hate it so much. It's no different than when Doug Bowser said getting rid of Super Mario 3D All-Stars was a celebration. Like Nintendo knows how to taint words. Celebration. Getting rid of Super Mario 3D All-Stars and Super Mario Bros. 35. Variable pricing? Hey, Nintendo, you know what variable pricing means? It means that consumers are going to variable purchase. And,
right.
you know, there is some good news about variable pricing. If they're judging games based on the amount of time put into them and just, like, the value you're getting, Pokemon games are now going to be $1. That's exciting. This could be very exciting.
Right. You see, that's what you would think would be the case. But, man, it's again, like, you would think that, like, you know, maybe there's a chance, like, okay, so maybe games that they aren't putting as much time and effort into, you'll be able to get for a better price, you know, like, let's get a $30 WarioWare game, huh? How about something like that? Wouldn't that be nice? But no, I don't think that's going to be the case at all. I think that they are still going to probably price things as high as they can get away with, as we're already seeing with, you know, just these Switch 2 versions of games that have already been around for a little while on the. I mean, can you believe that we are, 7-8 years into Breath of the Wild, and they're charging $70 for it now on the Switch 2?
That's insanity. That's crazy. That's absolutely wild. And you also got Tears of the Kingdom. So it's like, it's pretty much a very similar game. I don't know why you would go back to Breath of the Wild if you already have Tears of the Kingdom. But regardless, it's just like $70 for a game that's going to be 10 years old. I mean, they did the Wii U ports, and by the time that some of those released, I mean, those games were approaching the decade-old mark. But it's just ridiculous. Brian, thank you for the donation once again. Variable pricing, really. Doug just did the Xbox One. Oh my gosh. Doug Bowser has had some of the worst PR imaginable for the Nintendo Switch 2. It really just gives off Doug Matrick vibes. And it's just insane to witness this. Like this is a real thing going on. Although I will say that, you know, when it comes to the $30 WarioWare thing, I would say that most Switch games that were priced like lower, they still felt overpriced to an extent. Like if you played something like WarioWare Move It, at most I think that should have been $40. Though to be fair, I really enjoyed that game. It just didn't have enough single player unlockables.
Right. No, I'm with you there. I mean, like I found both of the WarioWare games on the Switch to be fun, but like just not priced accordingly to the amount of content that are in those games, and that's precisely my concern going into the Switch 2. Like, again, they talk about variable pricing, and on paper, you think about it, it sounds good, but honestly, the fact that they are kicking things off with higher standard retail prices, to me, just gives off the impression that like games that would ordinarily be priced at $30 or $40 are probably just going to show up as like $50 or $60 now, you know?
Have you noticed that variable pricing is really only going to go in one direction? Because we saw with Tears of the Kingdom that Nintendo said, oh, it'll be on a case-by-case basis. Sure, that was really the intention. They didn't do that to see if they could get away with $70 games going forward. That would have been the nice reality, considering what we're getting now. Yeah, Doug Bowser used to be at EA. It all comes full circle. And I don't know how much Doug Bowser was involved with the decisions, but you can call out what he's saying about the PR and stuff. I'm really getting the same vibes that when Kellogg said to deal with current economic conditions, oh, just eat cereal for dinner. That's what the energy that I'm getting here. Oh, just get the Switch 1 if you can't afford the Switch 2. As if we haven't been playing the same Mario Kart game for over 10 years. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah. Well, I think people underestimate the power that the Nintendo of America president has because, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Reggie was the whole reason that Wii Sports was even a pack-in title with the Wii back in the day.
I would
And
love to
that
see
proved to
Reggie's
be-
thoughts on this whole debacle.
Yeah. Honestly. Yeah, I kind of haven't thought about Reggie in a while. I wonder what he's up to these days.
He's probably just seeing what's going on at the Nintendo, and he's like, this isn't the Nintendo I left.
He's like, whew, glad I got out of there when I did. Oh, ugh.
And I'll be real, with the Wii U, it wasn't the best generation of Nintendo, kind of far from... What the hell? Why does that just go down in the water? I thought that doesn't make sense in the game. But regardless, it's just like... Nintendo got comfortable with the success of the Nintendo Switch, and considering that this is new leadership, they wouldn't necessarily remember things like the whole fiasco with the Nintendo 3DS launch, or the Wii U even. I kind of have a feeling they remembered the Wii U, considering the name of this new system. They really just didn't want to confuse consumers, because it's been confirmed they thought of the name Super Nintendo Switch. Really, if you think the name's uncreative, there are much worse problems with the Switch too. But, whoo boy, it's mostly the $80 games thing. And I might be making a video that's all about this, but the stigma that the whole Switch 2 drama has caused, that's another problem, because we're probably excited for Mario Kart World, but being excited for it, you also can't help but feel part of, okay, if I buy this game day one, am I going to contribute to the problem? Am I a shill for doing this? And it's like, well, I don't know, you're supporting $8 games if you're getting it, and with the bundle, it's like, that helps a little bit, but that bundle isn't going to be there forever. I don't know, it's just a really crappy situation that you just kind of feel helpless about.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. It's kind of a, I don't know, messed up situation. I don't even have much to add there because I don't even know like what the easy answer is. I mean, it's like obviously you don't want to support these practices and these decisions because the thing that sucks is that like this is not only going to affect Nintendo, but the rest of the gaming industry is watching with a magnifying glass right now to see how this goes because they're going to jump on it like piranhas too. You can bet that the next Grand Theft Auto game is going to be $100 minimum, and that was already kind of being rumored and expected. But you just know for a fact that if Nintendo gets away with $80 Mario Kart, oh yeah, yeah, lots of companies are going to start changing their pricing schemes as well.
Mario Kart, unfortunately, it's always going to have this negative stigma. If it works out, oh, this was the game that made us pay more for everything else. Screw this game. And no matter what it does, everything that it does wrong is going to be under a magnifying glass. And it just ruins a lot of the hype for the game. Like, considering that Mario Kart World is the Mario Kart game that I've been wanting for over a decade, and we're finally getting it, and then it has this gigantic monkey's paw of the pricing. It just ruins it, and it ruins a lot of the hype. I did a poll today in the community post asking the viewers, how are they feeling about Mario Kart? Are you guys hyped for it? 55% the last time I checked said yes, but then there was like 30% that said, I'm hyped for it, but not as much as I was because of this pricing issue.
Yeah.
And it just feels like
the
you can't be excited for it without feeling like you're a shill.
Yeah. No, I know. It's such a difficult thing, but I don't know. At the same time, that's just the way things are these days, too. I mean, shit's just so expensive, and like the masses are going to respond however they respond. If people don't want to spend that much money on the new Nintendo console and the games, then they won't, and Nintendo's going to have to react accordingly, just like they did, back during the 3DS days when they had to lower the price of the console and all that fun stuff. So
I will say with the 3DS, that also had the issue of not having a compelling lineup of games when it released. We didn't really get anything compelling until November of 2011 with Super Mario 3D Land. Because before, what did we get? Pilot Wings was cool, but not a system seller. Steel Diver was not a good game. I will say Nintendogs Plus Cats is a cute game, but it didn't really have anything compelling for the first few months, so that was part of it, but also it was overpriced. And I don't know, with Furukawa's leadership, you think that they're okay just selling less if that means more sales?
What was the question again?
Do you think Nintendo will be content selling less if that means that they're selling them for a higher price? Because if I were Nintendo,
okay,
what I would want to do is I would sell the games for less, and I would still make a profit and also gain fans and be respected.
Yeah, it's honestly, I'm not sure. I mean, ultimately their goal is likely to sell as many copies as they possibly can. So I'm thinking that if if it launches, even if it has a strong start, if those sales start slowing down and they're not hitting the numbers that they want to be, it wouldn't shock me to see them lower the prices gradually over time. Because ultimately, you look at the Switch generation and just how games like Mario Kart were just constant. The sales were constant. Like they didn't really slow down a whole lot, and it's one of the best selling games that they probably have in their arsenal now. And I'm sure they're hoping to replicate that with Mario Kart World, and I really think that's a big part of why they're testing the $80 waters with Mario Kart, because they know how big of a deal that series is. Ultimately, times are tough. People don't want to spend $80 on video games, and I kind of just have a feeling that it may not stay that way for long, or at least not forever.
Here's my prediction. The hardcore Nintendo fans are going to get that bundle probably day one. It might have some strong momentum at first, and then the fanboys are going to be like, oh, see, it's going to sell well anyway. Whenever people say that stupid, oh, it'll sell well, you know what that actually means? It means, I'm hyped, shut up, I don't want to hear it. That's pretty much what it means.
Yeah. Well, we've been living in an era of basically just insane Nintendo success, and a lot of these people who are saying that kind of stuff now really got on board during the Switch generation, or at the very least hadn't played Nintendo games in a long time. And they're about ready to witness what it's like to have a cocky Nintendo, one that has to change course a little bit because they've gotten too ahead of themselves.
One that needs to be humbled.
You're right, exactly.
They're in dire need of a humbling. They need one badly. They need another 3DS, or dare I even say, I'm not going to get too much into the whole Wii U aspect, but I will say those two systems definitely have the pricing issue and the bad press. That's a common issue, although I think it's much worse on the Switch too, for bad publicity and the pricing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, undoubtedly. And it's funny too. It's not just a Nintendo thing for them to have a successful generation and then completely get way too ahead of themselves for the following generation. PlayStation has also done it, as well as Xbox. It just seems to be this recurring theme across the entire industry. So we'll see if the launch of this thing and the launch window kind of reels Nintendo in a little bit. Like you mentioned, they do have a stronger... I guess you could say it's a stronger launch lineup than they had for something like the 3DS. Mario Kart and Donkey Kong are pretty big, but we also don't really know anything beyond those games for sort of the launch period. Now, it is possible we'll get a direct in June or something that'll show off some more games from August to the end of the year.
I mean, we're gonna need to see more of Donkey Kong Bonanza. We only got one trailer.
Yeah.
So I think the next one will be showcasing more of it. You know what would be the worst possible announcement in the Mario Kart Direct? If they announced that it was getting paid DLC and had a roadmap.
Yeah, that would be crazy. I guess I can't even really call it a hope. It's probably a cope. Let's be real. That that $80 price tag. That would be great if that means we would get maybe some free DLC courses or something like that. But this is the modern gaming era that we're living in. That's not likely. They'll probably have 8 DLC if they do DLC, which I'm thinking they probably will.
I mean, it's Mario Kart. That's what they usually do DLC for, like all the multiplayer games. Do you think that this could be one of those games that's unfinished with free updates?
I do think it's probably going to feel like a pretty complete package when it launches. That's my guess. Excuse me. Yeah, DLC is probably still something that they're going to look into doing, if I had to guess. This Mario Kart game, there's a good chance it's going to be around for a while. I might be approaching my 40s by the time they make a new one, and I think they're probably going to support it for a while.
Well, let's see. We'd account for the lifespan of the Switch too. I don't think it's going to be as long as a Switch due to various different factors. With the Nintendo Switch, there was also the pandemic, which really helped boost sales, and that could have put a delay on development, which is why we're getting the Switch 2 so late. I don't think that this was a good time to release it, considering the economic conditions and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Undoubtedly.
I will say this. Maybe if the Switch 2 fails, on the Switch 3 or whatever Nintendo comes up with next, we'll get Mario Kart World Deluxe. And then we'll be having the same situation. We'll have to wait 11 years for the next Mario Kart game. But this one's going to be probably $1,000.
Yeah. Well, the sad thing is, I could see that being a realistic possibility, that they may just do like one new game every other generation for like some of their franchises, like Mario Kart. Because I mean, to be honest, like where even do you go to get bigger and grander after this Mario Kart game? It's open world Mario Kart.
We kind of thought the same thing about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but lo and behold, they managed to top everything about that game. Except for the roster. True. I will say the roster in Mario Kart 8 was better because it had Pink Gold Peach. All jokes aside, it's like, with Mario Kart, I will say, it's looking to be the Mario Kart game that I dreamed of. If you guys remember, I actually did concepts for Mario Kart 9 back in 2020, and I called it, I kid you not, Mario Kart World Tour. And it had very similar concepts, even down to some of the characters. I put a Pokey in there. So it had the weird characters as well. So hey, fanboys, once again, if you're listening, if you want to make 10 videos about me, Nintendo's listening to me, that's why I make these videos.
You better have included Diddy Kong on that list.
Oh, don't worry, Diddy Kong is there, Dixie Kong's also there, I believe. Funky Kong's certainly there.
Okay, we're set. Mario Kart World is going to be perfect. We're good. We're in good hands.
I have a feeling that what's going to happen, like we've talked about, is the initial momentum, or people are going to buy the Switch too. Mostly the die-hard Nintendo fans, because guess what else sold out the first day? Just take a guess.
What, for the Switch 2?
No, Nintendo. Guess what other systems sold out day one? Oh, or actually, two of them. Two of them actually did.
I'm sure probably, like, most of them, if I had to guess. I don't know, though. I don't know.
Just take a guess. Which two systems sold out day one?
I'm going to take a wild stab here. I'm going to pick a safe one and a crazy one. Wii U. I'm going to say that as one. And Virtual Boy.
You got it. You actually got both of them. That's right.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
And when these fanboys are going to, like, be like, see, I told you it's selling well. Yeah, it's probably going to have an initial good launch, but we really have to see what happens long term.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, launch window, and this goes for pretty much any console. Launch window is for the hardcore fans. They're going to buy it no matter what, and like they're going to sell out probably, very likely, no matter what. It's after the launch window where things get interesting, if there's like enough of an attach rate for like non-hardcore fans.
I mean, all of
so-
us, we think of our mentality like, oh, people are going to still buy it. Like, yeah, we want these games, but what about the casuals? Like, a mom goes in to get groceries and sees a Switch Lite in Animal Crossing New Horizons. It's only $260. She wants a cozy game to play, something entertaining. That's part of why it's sold well. Not just portability, but affordability as well. But when you don't have the affordability aspect, Nintendo's essentially competing with the handheld gaming PCs. You know, things like the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally. So they're in a completely different market. You know, with the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo really had no competition. Nowadays, there is a little bit of competition. Have you seen the rise of emulation handhelds? Things like the Retroid Pocket 5? If those take off more, those could... Well, with tariff thing, it's kind of hard to tell what direction the economy is going, but we won't get too much into that. But with the Switch 2, it's going to have more competition, and things like the retro handhelds could actually sell better. Like, if a parent wants to get a kid a game system, could just get something like a Miyoo Mini Plus. They want something a little more powerful. Most you're going to be paying is like a little bit around like $150, $200. And it's like if you have to choose between food and Mario Kart World, of course you're going to choose Mario Kart World because we're intermittent fasting here. We're going to be skinny queens. No, the real answer is of course you're going to get Mario Kart, or of course you're going to get food. You're going to get the essentials.
Yeah. Right. No, exactly. And to your point about, you know, Nintendo typically being the more affordable option, you know, we're already seeing kind of more limited, I guess, attach rates to consoles like the PS5 and the Xbox Series consoles. I mean, PlayStation 5 has sold a lot better than Xbox has, but
I mean, everything's
there's
an
no
Xbox.
doubt though that like, yeah. Well, you know, like the just the prices. You know, the game prices are one thing. The prices of the consoles, you know, like it's harder to get people to make the leap, and especially whenever so many games are still coming to previous gen consoles that people owned. Like, you know, why is there much incentive to upgrade if you're still going to be able to play the same games? And like the same thing, I think, could apply to the Switch too. In theory, I mean, of course, Nintendo is going to have exclusive games for the Switch too, but there's still 150 plus million people who own the Switch 1, and a lot of them are probably more casual gamers too. So I don't know how likely it is that they're gonna get like I don't know. I'm going out on a limb here. I don't even know that they're gonna get a fraction of that audience to jump over, at least right away, not before price cuts at the very least.
I mean, my theory is that Nintendo's audience consists of three pillars. 1/3 diehard Nintendo fans like us, 1/3 kids, and then the other one casuals. Now, for kids and casuals, I mean, if you're a kid, your only opportunity to really get things like the Switch 2, and you could say, oh, get a paper route, but yeah, so many people are reading the papers. No, that's not really a likely scenario. Kids only get it for their birthday or Christmas, and you will see some get it, usually like ones that are better off, or parents who are better off. But for casuals, I mean, for parents it's going to be a tough sell. I remember when I was a kid, my parents didn't want to get a lot of this stuff because it was too expensive. Like the Wii U, actually, I was going to get one in 2012. But because I was being just a horrible kid, one day my mom said to my dad after he got the Wii U, you have to return this. And I didn't get one for an entire year. So,
oh, man.
I think a lot of that also had to do with the prices. Like at the time it launched at $350, which nowadays it doesn't seem like a big deal, but at that time it was. It was the same price jump that the Switch to Switch 2 is going from. It's a 50% increase because the Wii at that time was $150. And it's like the Wii U also just didn't have many compelling games for its initial lineup. So I could also see parents being like, okay, Timmy wants to get a Switch 2. He's like, Mom, I want to get Mario Kart in the Switch 2. Don't we already got Mario Kart? And then the mom brings in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. That I could see that being very common.
Oh, yeah. I think so too, especially after they see the price of Mario Kart World and go, "Oh yeah, no, you have Mario Kart. You don't need this one."
You don't need this Mario Kart. We got to get groceries, and also I need to get Starbucks. Yeah, I'm sure that those the moms are more likely to get Starbucks and $1,000 iPhones. And another thing is that people are bringing up inflation, but wages haven't gone up with inflation, and also things like food and housing are essentials, whereas video games are a luxury. And also, I did some math. If Nintendo had a budget of $1 billion for Mario Kart World, and they only made $30 profit, they could sell like 33 million units of Mario Kart World and still make a profit. So even if that were the case, it doesn't have a budget of $1 billion. I couldn't see that. Nintendo could make it even. They could make big profits with just $60, even if they wanted to do some DLC down the line. The only way that this $80 price tag would be good is if all DLC was free.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that is the hope / cope that maybe $80 would mean that, we'll get those free DLC updates, but I don't think that's very likely. The more likely scenario is that they are going to have DLC, I don't know, islands, basically, that connect to the outer portions of this map that we're seeing, and they'll probably sell them in waves. And it's going to balloon the total cost of this game to like $160.
Oh, that's just going to be great.
Oh yeah. Just amazing. I can't wait.
I feel like with Nintendo being known for being the affordable option, that puts these games at a disadvantage. So already, I think it's going to be a harder sell for parents and casuals. And the thing is, it'll sell well regardless. That applies to something like Pokemon, because Pokemon's affordable. I don't think the games are even worth $1, but still, $60, it's a cost of most other Nintendo Switch games. By most other, I mean everything except for Tears of the Kingdom, which, by the way, I don't even think that game was worth $70. But that's a whole nother discussion that I'll get into right now, so you guys won't have to wait. It's very similar to Breath of the Wild. It did have some new features, but it was not an asset reusing sequel on par with something like Super Mario Galaxy 2. And it set a horrible precedent going forward. Without Tears of the Kingdom, we wouldn't have what we're getting now. Still a quality game, but it's like... Maybe it's also because I'm definitely more of a platformer guy, but still, I don't like the precedent that it's set. That is, if the precedent was only $70, I could get behind that. But no, it's worse. Much worse.
Yeah.
Now, another thing I'd like to bring up is just the slew of misinformation regarding the Switch, too. Because what you're getting now is, you're getting a lot of channels on YouTube. Like, I remember when I used to be the quote-unquote Nintendo hate channel. Nowadays, we're getting a lot of channels like that, where people are just reporting on all the bad news, and then there was this stuff about the GameCube controller only working for the GameCube app. It's pretty much been confirmed that they had that disclaimer for the other Switch Online controllers, so there is some misinformation. But then, there are the other channels that, pretty much built up the Switch too. Just hyping it up for the past few years with things like the Switch Pro leaks and stuff like that. So, on one hand, you got the misinformation, and then the other hand, you got the constant shilling for this. It's just... Do you think that this bad press is going to play a role into the sales of the Switch too?
I definitely think it'll play some level of a role in terms of like how well it performs. I don't know to what extent necessarily, but when it comes to a lot of the misinformation and stuff that's out there and being spread, even by like some larger channels, I've noticed a good chunk of that information. Nintendo needs to look in the mirror and realize that they are the reason why it is the way it is, especially when it comes to the pricing. I mean, you saw people saying Mario Kart's $90. They're going to be $90 games. I can't even tell you how many comments on my DK reaction videos this past week being like, yeah, well, you're going to spend $90 on it. It's like, well, no.
DK is going to be 70.
Right, yeah. Other regions, it's like I think it's like Europe or something. It's like 90 pounds or something like that. I don't know if it's DK, but some game is, and well, that's entirely to the fault of Nintendo. They weren't transparent from the get-go. They weren't transparent in that direct about how much these games were going to cost.
Oh, they did
And
that
so you had
intentionally
people-
too.
Yeah. Oh, it absolutely was. They knew it was gonna have some backlash, but so that just left the consumers, people who were excited after that direct to find out, like, okay, how much are these games? How much is this system? I want to buy it. It left it up to them to go out and find these prices on their own, and it resulted in a lot of confusion and unfortunate backlash. But they really did it to themselves. If they were just transparent from the start, maybe, I mean, like, people still wouldn't be happy about $80 games, but at the very least, you wouldn't have the misinformation going around then about $90 games, and like that kind of thing. So,
yeah, honestly, when you put it that way,
yeah.
Nintendo really has everything that's happening coming to them. They're also not transparent about it. Like, they'll say things like the variable pricing and stuff like that, and it's just like, this is just like damage control at this point.
Yeah. It's just PR garble, trying to save face, but like, it's pretty transparent what's going on here. Nintendo's not the first greedy company that has ever existed. So, seeing some of their language here lately, it just it's pretty obvious what's going on.
Nintendo really needs, or they should just rename the Switch to the Switch 1. Not the number 1, like the actual 1, because this is their Xbox One essentially. They had a really successful generation, and they are just getting really cocky about it. And they are going to learn what happens when you screw around. Screw around, you're going to find out. And then it's just like...
Yeah.
It's just really dependent if parents and casuals are willing to spend this on Nintendo games, which I don't think they will. I don't predict that they're willing to be happy spending this amount, considering that Nintendo was primarily known to be the affordability option.
Mm-hmm. No, most definitely, and like you said, I feel like a lot of people are going to look at this thing and be like, well, I have a Switch at home. Why do I need to buy the Switch 2? Is there really anything on here worth playing? Oh, it's $80 ports of the same games that I already own on the Switch 1? Well, I think I'll wait.
I also feel like Nintendo charging for the upgrades doesn't help their case. It really could have been a major selling point for the Switch 2. Oh, you play your Switch 1 games and they're enhanced? Sign me up. And they're free? Could you imagine how good that would be for Nintendo PR? But no, they went the greedy route. One of the 7 deadly sins, and Nintendo is going full force. It's like they got Wario working for them directly. Actually, with Fudakawa and Doug Bowser, it's like Wario and Mr. Krabs.
Yeah.
And with,
on a side note, mentioning Wario, we got to get a new Wario Land. Come on, it's time. It's time for one.
Great point. With games like Anton Blast and Pizza Tower taking the world by storm, Nintendo's definitely looking at that and they're like, yep, we got to bring back Wario Land eventually. They already brought back DK. They brought back Mario Kart. There is a possibility.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I've become a real fan of Wario Land ever since Pizza Tower and like Anton Blast. I enjoyed as well. So
which one's your favorite?
Want some more Wario. Between Pizza Tower and Anton, you mean, or
actually both Anton and Pizza Tower, and your favorite Wario Land.
Well, Pizza Tower. Pizza Tower's at like that's like the cream of the crop for me. I love Pizza Tower. But in terms of the Wario Land games, I guess probably Wario Land 4 feels like the obvious answer. I know a lot of people like that one the best, but honestly, it was really good. That one's really solid. But that being said, I really enjoyed the other ones too, like the Metroidvania Wario Land. What was that? Wario Land 3,
Wario Land
I think?
3. My favorite's actually Virtual Boy Wario Land. Whenever people
I
say...
haven't actually played that one.
Do you have a modded 3DS by any chance?
I don't, but I should.
What 3DS do you have? Like the new 3DS or the standard one?
I think I have... It's an XL, I believe.
Yeah, because with the new 3DS, It's easier to mod that one than the original. But I've modded pretty much most of my 3DS systems. Yeah, whenever people say I hate Nintendo, I have a Virtual Boy and a ton of 3DSs. Clearly, I hate Nintendo. No, it's like we're big Nintendo fans here. We just want to see them improve. Although, to be fair with you, I'm not really seeing the same level of fanboys that I did with, you know, things like when Nintendo released unfinished games and then the defending 3D All-Stars, stuff like that. That was a lot more prevalent. I don't really see as many people defending stuff like the prices and charging for the welcome tour. Whenever people brought up that tariffs were the reason for the initial price, and the tariff thing is a different situation, it's been confirmed that that wasn't part of the initial pricing. So this was all that classic Nintendo greed.
Yeah. That was kind of what I had suspected about it, even from the very start. And then, like, Doug Bowser just kind of, like, came out and totally confirmed it, I think yesterday, maybe the day before, that, yeah, that was the case. They've gotten too big for their britches, and they're taking advantage of the success that they had. Like I mentioned earlier, though, I mean, they're not the first ones to do this. This is not the first time that they've done something like this. But it usually if they try to start pushing things too far, it doesn't usually work out the way they want it to. So
when was the last time that you would say something didn't work out for Nintendo? Was it the Wii U, or was there something with the Switch? I don't know, maybe Labo? That was overpriced and it didn't do well, although that was more of an experimental thing.
Yeah, that definitely felt like a pretty experimental thing. I wouldn't say that was probably even a major loss for them.
I mean, it's cardboard.
But
apparently they use Wii U boxes to make it.
Yeah, and sorry, wife was saying something to me. What was I saying? Something about honestly, yeah, probably the Wii U. I mean, that was a huge generational flop for them. I mean, I if I remember correctly, the Switch was even going to be like their last attempt at doing a home console, and if that didn't work out, who knows? We might have had a Nintendo, going third party this generation for all we know. Well, they probably would have done it a lot sooner than now. The Switch has been around for a long time. If that ended up being a failure, they probably would have stopped that a while ago. But you see it time and time again, though. It's like a pendulum. They have a really good generation where they have really good sales, really good success, and then the next generation they like fumble the bag. Not sure what it is about that, but that seems to be the pattern. And like I said, it's not even just a Nintendo thing. You can see it over the years with PlayStation and Xbox as well.
Yeah, PS3 was really Sony's cocky moment. Xbox One, definitely Xbox. I still feel that the Xbox One's reveal hurt Microsoft in the long run. Like, sure, the system ended up doing okay. It didn't sell as well as the PS4, but it still did just fine. It did ruin Xbox as a brand, I feel. And it's not that big of a deal, since I'm not even concerned about Xbox, but Nintendo's about to learn the hard way what happens when you disrespect the consumers. And yeah, not showing the prices in the Direct, not only did it cause misinformation and nothing was transparent, that was also a problem with the Wii U, where people were confused and didn't know what the hell it was. It also is just going to cause issues with, trusting Nintendo. Maybe with the Switch 3, we're going to get an advertisement campaign from Nintendo where Nintendo has your smartphone in your toilet and it says, "This is a Nintendo Switch, this is a Nintendo Switch." Could do something like that.
Yeah. Man, wouldn't that be a time? Well, it's a lot of the backlash that they're receiving right now. I mean, they probably still would end up with backlash regardless, just due to the pricing. But I feel like a lot of it probably could have been mitigated just with clearer marketing. I mean, there's a lot of questionable things about the Switch 2 so far. Like, the whole game sharing thing. Granted, they announced that before the Switch 2, but like that's kind of confusing. The whole, digital download thing, like, whether or not games are actually on the cartridges that you're buying, or if you're just downloading a digital version that you still need to have the cartridge in for to be able to access, which is just like,
what's the point
bravo,
at that point?
Nintendo, bravo.
I kind of get it, so you can share and trade the digital games technically, but still, I don't know if it's the best way going about it. I don't know.
I just don't think the way that they they talked about it was very clear. It was kind of confusing, and I don't know. I just feel like that is sort of the trend here going into the Switch 2 generation, is both some deceit and maybe not being as clear with some of their things as they could have been.
Yeah, they're not transparent about it. They need better marketing. They need better PR. Because eventually we're going to hear things like, oh, if you want the Switch 2, just have cereal for dinner. It's just crazy. Honestly. It's absolutely crazy that Nintendo built up such hype and such momentum only to destroy it with just one announcement. Mostly being the prices.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely disappointing to see, if not entirely, surprising. But I also do think it's going to be very possible for them to turn it around as well. I think, personally speaking, I do think it's very possible they may have a little bit of a rocky launch. I mean, and not even all of that is necessarily entirely their fault. I mean, who knows what's happening with the tariffs situation at this point?
And it doesn't help.
Right, exactly, and it's not gonna make a lot of things more unaffordable for the average person, and so it's hard. I don't know. I think the launch period in particular may face some challenges and some unforeseen ones at that. But I do think it's possible for them to bring it back. I think especially if they get a grip with these prices and lower them a bit.
All Nintendo needs... I got an idea. What Nintendo needs to do is they need to drop the price, have a bundle that includes a free game. Actually, here's how to sell the Switch 2 and make sure it has an amazing launch. Have a $450 bundle that's transparent green and includes Donkey Kong Bananza.
Yeah, I'll be all over it. I'll get a second Switch. My wife can have the plain Switch. I'll take the Donkey Kong one.
Actually, if you do want a Donkey Kong themed one, I could make that for you. Because I got some news, guys. I will be making custom Joy-Cons for the Nintendo Switch 2. It's already been confirmed that Extreme Rate is making the shells, so it's just a matter of them releasing them, and they should be releasing around the time of the Nintendo Switch 2 launch. And if transparent green's a color, I could totally make you one, Uncle Al.
Oh, very cool. I might be tempted. Might be very tempted.
It definitely would. The one I'd want the most is a transparent orange. That's my favorite one. But that transparent green's iconic.
Yeah, it really is.
If Nintendo wants to win over the consumers, just bring back transparent consoles. Also bring back transparency when it comes to PR. Have both.
Honestly.
Also, I'm a little disappointed, and I don't think this really matters because I make custom Joy-Cons anyway, but Nintendo only has one color option. It looks sick, but at the same time, it's kind of want more.
Yeah. Same goes for themes on the console too. I'm like, come on, can we get some more color, more variety, some other options?
You don't like corporate white or corporate black?
I think I've had my fill of those funny little colors.
I mean, it's only been almost a decade.
Yeah, I'm ready for a little something else, maybe. It's funny how they have a whole category in the settings dedicated to themes, only for them to have two and never update it ever.
They'd probably be $10 each on the Switch too. You know what's so
Oh,
funny?
cool.
The 3DS had themes for Super Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild. The Nintendo 3DS
Go
did,
figure.
not the Switch.
Yeah, go figure. That's crazy.
And also, really, the game should be free because Nintendo, they don't even need... They could just cut back on PR because they already got a defense force doing it for free. That's one thing
Yeah.
they could do. Oh, it's inflation, and I talked to people about it who know about inflation. I'm surprised that this hasn't happened sooner. No, games aren't essential. Just with the excuses, I just die on the inside seeing some of them.
Yeah, they're, you have your usual defenders out there, and it's bound to happen. It happens with PlayStation and Sony as well. Or PlayStation and Sony, PlayStation and Xbox. But I have noticed it feels at least like there's a lot less of them this time around. I mean, even on the Treehouse presentations, the live streams, they were just the chat. The live chat was just absolutely flooded with drop the price, entire time. It
rightfully
was crazy.
so. I know what's going to happen with that Mario Kart Direct a week from now. That's going to be the only thing. Nintendo's probably going to disable comments.
Honestly, yeah.
You know what? They deserve it.
Yeah, again, like they did this to themselves. They should have been more upfront, more transparent about it from the very start. But yeah, I guess we'll see what shows up in that Mario Kart Direct, though. I'm hoping that it can get me a bit more excited. I am reasonably excited for a lot of what we've seen of Mario Kart so far, but some of the courses, I gotta say, are leaving me feeling like there might be a bit to be desired. So
any in particular?
None that come to mind, like by name at least, because I mean I don't know any of them. But like I was watching some Treehouse footage and just watching Mario racing down just what looked like a plain dual lane highway, and I'm like, this doesn't look at all like it has the Nintendo spark to it. Like you could have just swapped Mario out for like any other like kart racer thing, or not even kart racer, just racer, and you wouldn't have really known much of a difference aside from some like Nintendo-y looking things on billboards and stuff like that. But I'm like, yeah, this, I don't know, just this wide empty dual lane highway and I noticed that like a lot of the courses kind of have something similar going on where they just sort of feel a bit wide, a bit like you're just driving down this straight path and not a whole lot else going on. There were some courses, there's definitely some courses I've seen so far that look a bit more creative than that, but I don't know.
Those are like the intermissions between tracks. If they can't be turned off, that's really going to ruin the pace, but again, it's like we got the Direct in pretty much a week, so I want to see what they're...
Yeah.
What are they going to showcase that makes this game worth $80? And to be real with you, the answer to that is I don't think they really could showcase anything that would make it seem worth $80. The game would literally need to jump out of the screen and buy you a Nintendo Switch 2 to do that.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Like, I really don't think any game should be worth $80, but
I don't even think GTA 6 will be.
Yeah, I'm hoping they at least make an attempt to justify it to us. I want to have things to do in the open world. Like give us some like little missions. Somebody had suggested something that I think would be really cool that I don't think they're going to do, and that would be allowing you to like jump out of your cart and run around, sort of like Kirby Air Ride. But I kind of doubt they're going to do that.
Imagine just running in the open world as a coin coffer, or the cow that everyone finds so funny.
Yeah.
I kind of expected Nintendo to do this with Mario Kart World, because in Mario Kart Tour there were characters like Monty Mole and Hammer Brother. It was just bound to happen. And you know what? I am glad it's not Nintendo Kart. There's definitely more they could do with Mario. Now it's just a matter of will they bring back characters from the RPGs and stuff like that. We did see a little bit of references to Super Mario Land. Maybe they'll have Tatanga, who's the villain of that game, as the main antagonist. Like, there could be an adventure mode of sorts where Tatanga is the main antagonist, which makes sense considering Bowser's a character, and then you're playing through the tracks and stuff like that. That'd be really cool, but still, it's like, this game has to do a lot to be worth $80. The only rationale is like, okay, the game's $80, but all DLC will be free. I could get past that, but at this point, if they say there's a roadmap and there's going to be DLC down the line, it's game over.
Yeah, I fully expect them to have paid DLC at some point. I don't know if that's something they'll announce in the upcoming Direct, and if they are planning to announce that, they should probably cut that out of there, because that's the last thing people are going to want to hear about this game right now. But I don't know. We'll see. You know, to your point about bringing in maybe some of the extended Mario universe, like from the RPGs and such. Those would be the things that they would put behind DLC, no doubt.
Gotta love modern
that would be
Nintendo.
Like, hey, yeah, it'd be like, hey, you can play as Gino in Mario Kart World for an additional $20. Yeah, how about that?
Hey, it's $20 of enjoyment. I mean, you pay $20 for a meal, so it's not that big of a deal anyway.
Yeah, you know, like, come on, you know.
And another thing about the Pokemon thing, and I wanted to bring this up, the whole it sells well thing. Yeah, because Pokemon's affordable, and it does have that aspect where, you know, it's familiar to people, it's comfort food. Whenever people see Pokemon, usually casuals, I think they're in for a good time. They don't really play other games to know that they're an absolute embarrassment. But now, considering these prices, the crack that was known as Pokemon is about to become Coke, considering all these prices. It's going to be pretty much just like... I feel like a lot of the casuals are going to think it's inaccessible and not worth it.
Yeah.
And
well, and you know, again, like, you know, attach rates for the Switch 1 were already so astronomically high. Again, 150 million people playing the Switch 1 is nothing to sneeze at, and this being more Switch, basically, I don't know, it's going to be a tougher sell. It's going to be a tougher sell for a lot of those people, especially casuals who don't want to have to spend a fortune to be able to get and play the thing.
Now this goes into like more like social media and stuff like that, but have you looked at any Nintendo channels or even Nintendo's channel itself?
Like their YouTube channel?
Yeah,
or
like things like view counts, like interest in Nintendo, stuff like that.
I have seen like a little bit, mostly just because I've been rewatching the Donkey Kong trailer like 100 million times this past week.
Is that a nightly ritual for you too, where it's just like you're about to go to bed and then just watch the Bananza trailer, listen to that sick beat when they're showcasing the zebras dancing at the nightclub? That better be a full song in the game, because I've been listening to the trailer just for that.
Oh yeah, I'm like, you know,
I thought Mario Kart World had a banger soundtrack with the harmonicas, but man, with the ho ho Bananza, that's even more banger. I gotta say, nothing I'm worried about with Donkey Kong Bonanza, and that is easily... I'm glad that, in a way, I'm glad that it's not Donkey Kong that's $80, because that is a series that has been neglected for far too long, and I want that to get as much good publicity as possible.
You can bet that they're still gonna have like even if they're not charging $80 for certain games, it's still gonna be like 60 plus for most of their releases. Even the ones that don't particularly seem like they should be. I mentioned it earlier, but like, you know, WarioWare, the last two games that they had on the Switch, I did not feel like were maybe priced that appropriately. And I feel like they'll probably be priced even worse on Switch 2 should it get a new WarioWare game. They'll start charging 60. Sure, why not?
Variable pricing is going to go in only one direction, and I guarantee you it's not to save the consumer money.
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure. Like, it's all about the money. That's where we're at.
It's Switch 2 is pretty much the Krusty Krab 2. I'm surprised no one's made a meme like that.
I think I have seen some some references to it. I don't think anybody's like made the meme, but I've seen people type it out. Like, what inspired you to make a Switch 2 right next to the original? Money,
Yeah, especially considering that Nintendo's solution to all of this is just playing the originals. Why do you even need it?
Yeah. Yep. No, exactly. And again, like, even without it being said by Doug Bowser, like, just straight up, which is crazy for him to do, I think a lot of people were already probably going into this thing with that mindset. Like, well, so many of the launch window Nintendo games are just repackaged versions of the Switch 1 original, and like a lot of people already have those games, so that's not going to be enticing for a lot of people to jump onto this thing. Sure, you have games like Mario Kart and DK in like sort of the launch window period, but like, I don't know, are those really going to be enough to convince a lot of people to move on over to this thing? I'm not so sure, but I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see.
Oh, Brian, thank you for the donation. Uncle Al, this is a question for you. Will we see the return of DK abridged?
I'm being put on the spot here. Let me just say, never say never. If I can, maybe I'll figure something out for that someday. We'll say, we'll just put that little nugget of hope out there into the world.
Yeah, and the thing is, we were talking about like the Switch 1 edition games. Do you feel like the Nintendo Direct, alright, considering how we feel about Mario Kart and Donkey Kong, that is absolutely enough to sell us on the system. But do you think it was enough for everyone else? Do you think they should have had a few more games?
Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of what I'm saying. Like, I'm not so sure, honestly. I mean, they really came out the gate swinging with the Switch 1. I mean, they had like such an incredible showcase back in like, what was it, January of 2017. Yep. That was a really good showcase back then, and while my own bias says excuse me, that this Switch 2 presentation was absolutely amazing. I love me some Mario Kart, and I especially love Donkey Kong. There wasn't really a whole lot beyond that. I mean, we have Kirby Air Ride, but they didn't show us any gameplay for that. And I'm not sure that that's necessarily going to be a system seller. I guess it depends. But Mario Kart and DK are really the only major thing. Oh, and I always forget about this, but I guess they did announce it. Hyrule Warriors, but I don't think...
It's not like a major announcement.
Yeah, I don't know what the general, like, consensus is around those games, but like they are just incredibly underwhelming to me, like 4 entries deep at this point. I'm like, I do not care.
I don't know why they're not doing like Super Mario Warriors. That'd be something interesting and new to see.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, and even then, like, it would still feel kind of tired at this point. They've done so many Warriors games, and they're all basically the same thing every time. I don't know. But that's definitely not a system seller right there. And I don't know. I think June, assuming they have a Direct in June, is going to be very telling. That'll give us an idea of, maybe what later in the year the attach rate might be for this thing. If they show up in June with some big announcements for later this year, if they have a game every month leading up to the end of the year like they did in 2017, they might have something going here. But if they're gonna do, let's say Mario Party Superstars $20 DLC, and that's what they're gonna try to like convince people to buy the Switch.
It's not worth it. I mean, you can get the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC, which pretty much is half of the game, for just $25. This is $20. It looks like it should be a free update.
Yeah. No, honestly, like that's how I've felt about a lot of these like upgrade things that they're doing for the Switch versions. That like, I just look at a Jamboree, I'm like, dude, this feels like it would have been one of those free updates that they would have peddled, in sort of like the middle of the Switch generation. Why are they upcharging $20 for the Switch 2 version of this game? It feels nuts to me. It's like, I don't know, they've just They've gotten big heads.
One thing about Donkey Kong Country Returns, have you had trouble with any of the Kong letters? Because when I went back to this game, some of the Kong letters are egregious. That really wasn't one of them. I couldn't get that because I'm looking at OBS and it doesn't have the best frame rate, the window that I have for it. So that's why I was struggling to get that Kong letter, but there are some of them in this game that are just so hard to get. Tropical Freeze is way better.
Yeah, Tropical Freeze is definitely the better game. I still think Returns is pretty good, but yeah, Tropical Freeze definitely like blows this one out of the water. But I don't know. I've been playing
soundtrack.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like they should have gotten David Wise in for this one, and this is kind of getting off on a whole tangent. But you know, I feel like that's one way they could have improved Returns. Like this is just obviously such a lazy port of the game, and I would have loved to see them bring the visuals up to par at the very least with like Tropical Freeze. But then they could have done like a whole new soundtrack too by bringing David Wise in. But
they did it before with the Game Boy Advance remake of Donkey Kong Country 3.
Yeah.
Which soundtrack do you prefer? I actually prefer the one on Game Boy Advance, despite the compression.
To tell you the truth, I've never played through the Game Boy Advance version of Donkey Kong Country 3, so I don't really know a whole lot of the tracks from that game. I probably just, due to nostalgia, I would enjoy DKC3's soundtrack more than that's my guess. I don't really know what the David Wise tracks sound like, so
they're great.
But I do love the original SNES.
At first, I thought I wouldn't like it as much because I really do enjoy the Donkey Kong Country 3 soundtrack, but it's way better. There's some really good tracks, especially the opening soundtrack. Like for the first level, I'll send you the soundtrack after the stream. It's definitely worth listening to.
Sounds good.
I'll send it to you on YouTube because Nintendo won't put it on Nintendo Music until probably when we're in our 40s.
Yeah.
That's just like... The whole thing surrounding the Switch 2, there is just so much misinformation and also bad decisions on Nintendo's part, and a lot of it is self-inflicted. Do you think that this will have a negative impact, like, long-term for Nintendo? Kind of like how the Xbox One reveal did for Microsoft?
I think it really just all depends on how they play their cards from here, because... you know, the way that they revealed the Xbox and the way that they dealt with it, I feel like was absolutely insanely disastrous. And while it's definitely not looking good right now from a PR perspective for the Switch 2 and Nintendo, I still think they can bring it back. They just gotta play their cards right, you know. Just kind of making a prediction of how this is going to go. I seriously think launch might be fine. A little bit after launch, it's probably going to get rough for sales. I don't know that they're going to have a very big attach rate, and then they're going to start to knock those prices down a little bit, and then you might see people, you know, being more likely to switch over to the thing. So
you think that if they do have a price drop, they're going to have an ambassador program for the ones who bought it at launch?
I think it's a lot less likely this time around, just because they're in a very different position than they were back then. I don't think we're looking at the same generous, consumer-friendly Nintendo that we were back then.
Knowing Nintendo nowadays, if they made the 3DS now, Face Raiders and AR games would be $10 each. Whew, boy.
Oh, yeah.
That whole thing, the Welcome Tour, is insane. Mario Kart being $80 is insane, but the Welcome Tour...
Yeah, I couldn't believe that whenever I saw that in the Direct. I mean, like, it seemed like, okay, well, this seems like, okay, so this is their pack-in title, okay? This is their Nintendo Land, or their, you know, their 1-2 Switch, basically. I mean, I know 1-2 Switch wasn't a pack-in game, but, you know. But then for them to announce that, like, it was going to be a paid product, and then later to find out, oh, yeah, it's $10, by the way.
Oh,
you gotta pay
wow.
$10 for their stupid digital manual, basically.
Nintendo's really struggling. They're really struggling. They need that extra $10.
Yeah, you know, Miyamoto's got put food on the table, you know.
Oh, for sure. It's not like Nintendo just had their most successful generation, a movie, theme parks. Nah. They really need that extra $10. That is going to cause some...
baby indie company Nintendo.
Those poor indie developers are really starving. Alright, guys. We have been streaming for... Let's see how long it's been. At this point, I kid you not, almost exactly 2 hours. So we're going to stream for 10 more minutes. I'm going to listen to some questions. You got any questions you are dying to ask? Feel free to send a super chat if you're extra inclined to have it answered. Although I'll be trying to answer as many questions as possible. And Uncle Al, you'll probably get some questions too. So you're going to be on the spot again.
Sure. Sounds good. Hit me with it. Finally, I beat the mole train boss.
Oh man, that one's rough, dude.
That's a tough one. I've been at this for like 20 minutes now, maybe more. I don't know.
Just wait until you get to the temple levels. Oh my gosh, they are egregious.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I've been playing them as I go. I was struggling on the one for this world for a while during this stream too. I've just been.
Or go on.
Gaming away. We've just been gaming away at DK while we've been chit-chatting.
Yeah, I've been doing the same. I mean, it's pretty clear that I'm playing Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. It's funny because my girlfriend and I were playing Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and I was looking for the next game for us to play, and this has actually been good. She prefers Donkey Kong over Mario. So has some good takes. If Donkey Kong Bananza has multiplayer, we'll be playing that.
Very cool.
Yeah, I could see Donkey Kong Bonanza really being the killer app for the Switch, too. Mario Kart... I
think so, too.
At the moment, it does kind of look like 8 Deluxe, just with better graphics and then sane roster. Really, just... I want to see more of it before I say anything.
Yeah. No, I'm kind of in the same boat. I mean, I have my opinions about what we've seen so far, but I am hoping that they can... show us what they really got going on with that game. And they've kind of hinted, Doug Bowser at the very least has kind of hinted that there is more than they've shown so far. So I'm hoping that is the case.
I did see it. I did see the Nintendo of Korea thing. I won't mention it, but if you know what it is.
I'm not sure that I actually even know exactly what you're talking about.
Character.
A character.
It's the one that Nintendo of Korea leaked.
Ooh, I'm not 100% sure I know what you're talking about. You'll have to tell me about it after the stream if you don't want to mention it on here.
It's the Donkey Kong Bonanza thing that happened a few days ago.
Oh, that thing! Oh, I thought you were talking about Mario Kart. I'm like, what was going on with Mario Kart? Some new character, huh? Okay, I know what you're talking about now.
It's scrapped art? They finally brought back Wario Stadium. I mean, at this point, it's pretty much a given. They had to bring it back at some point. It's been, what, almost 30 years? Nintendo's bring back Wario Stadium from Mario Kart 64. It was literally the only Mario Kart 64 track they didn't remake. The retros seem fire for Mario Kart World. They got some really good picks. They got Toad's Factory. They got Wario Stadium. Airship Fortress. Dino Jungle. I will say the game looks phenomenal, but Donkey Kong's blown me away even more. I gotta say, really, that sick beat before the ooh banana really sold me on the game.
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't even hear it on my initial watch of the trailer because I was just screaming over it. So, when I heard it afterward, I'm like, oh, no way. They brought it back. The ooh banana. Oh, that's awesome.
They even got a jingle with it. Be a good phone notification. Yeah. Ooh, banana.
Yeah, legit. Ooh, banana.
I kind of want to go back to Donkey Kong 64. And if any of you guys are wondering when will I do the retrospective of Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, I plan on making videos about Donkey Kong games leading up to Donkey Kong Bonanza. Like, what I want to do is I want to review them. Like, most of the mainline games. what am I supposed to do here? You're supposed to roll into them, I think. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's a weird boss.
I struggled with them too. I'm like, man,
odd bosses.
they were kind of a pain.
The bosses are a pain in this game. Tropical
Yeah,
Freeze just
it's
really
weird.
outdid Returns. Although there are good aspects of Returns, I still enjoy it quite much.
Yeah. Yeah, I still think Returns is a pretty good game, but yeah, they definitely learned a lot from Returns' shortcomings and did it much better the second time around.
It's just so interesting that this game released when it did. Like, this seemed like something to release towards the beginning of the Switch's life, but then they do it as a late release. I mean, it makes sense. Although, it would make more sense if they used Donkey Kong's new design, but hey, introducing it to the world for the first time, I'd rather see it in a high-effort game. The Mario Land 1 element's coming back. It does make me think that maybe Tatanga could come back, but also at the same time, it's just like, I don't know. If I'm being real with you guys, just the drama and like the the price tag of $80, it's, I would say when Mario Kart World was first revealed, my hype level was at 100%. Now it's only at like 65, 60. You really start to question it a lot more once you hear the sticker shock.
Right. Yeah, it was a real buzzkill after that direct to hear about the prices.
My hype is halved. I mean, like I said before, I did that poll asking how many of you guys were hyped for Mario Kart, and when 30% aren't hyped anymore on a channel that's built up Mario Kart 9, or whatever the next installment would be, it's very telling. It might be harder for Nintendo. Maybe not all the die-hard fans will be getting one day one. It's going to be interesting seeing how everything plays out. Oh, this is such a pain. Have you ever had to use the banana juice for any of the levels?
Not so far.
Wait till you get to those
But
temple
I feel like
levels.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know. I've been playing through them as I come across them. I'm on World 5-2 right now, and yeah, those temple levels are definitely starting to ramp up a bit.
They can get pretty rough. They kind of hinted at that in the Mario movie too. If you saw like the concept art, they're at a bazaar, which makes sense considering like the Super Mario Brothers 2 Arabian theme. At least Cataquack's in Mario Kart. Roster is not a problem. Really, it's just that one thing. It makes sense that they have Sidestepper to represent Mr. Krabs. Although, one thing I find kind of odd about it is with the costume for Biker Wario. It's not Biker Wario from WarioWare. It's a new costume with elements from it. It's very weird.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I mean, yeah, I'm hyped for Mario Kart World, and I'm going to be making a video about it, considering that I will be playing it early. But even so, it's like, it's going to be under a lot of scrutiny, and it's going to be under a magnifying glass, especially considering, you know, just the price aspect. But yeah, we currently beat the Krabs, and hopefully that means we'll also beat the Mr. Krabs, and Nintendo will learn, and hopefully everything will be okay with the Switch too. But yeah, this has been a great stream. I'll be posting this as an actual video because this has been an excellent discussion. So if you want to listen to this in the background as a podcast, it'd be great to do that. There's nothing I like more than hearing Uncle Al talk about Donkey Kong and his criticisms with the big N. So that has just been an honor. And it's great to have you back, little buddy. Well, actually, would you be little buddy? You're older than me, so no.
Yeah.
You'd be more like DK.
I'm the big buddy. Oh yeah. No, I appreciate you having me here. Yeah, this was fun. I always love the chance to chat about DK. Any excuse I can get, I'll take it. So.
But yeah. Anyways, guys, make sure to subscribe to Uncle Al if you haven't. He has 2 channels, being his main channel and Uncle Al Plus for gaming. So subscribe to him. Otherwise, Nintendo's gonna raise the price to $1,000 of the Switch too.
Yeah.
They're gonna do that.
Yeah.
But in the meantime,
$1,000 Donkey Kong. You don't want to make me sad now, do you? You know that'd be a lot.